Let's talk about the realities of building software with AI, building products, SaaS, etc. with AI. And when I say AI, I'm obviously referring to either Cursor, Claude Code, or all these online platforms like Replit, Bolt, etc. And if you don't know me, I'm Guillermo. I'm the founder and CTO of Seven Sigma. We are a tech studio and we build AI and SaaS platforms for our clients. And so I've been exposed to this trend of AI for the past 3 years. And I've been in software for almost 10. So that gives me a very good perspective on what's changing and, more importantly, what's not changing. And I feel like in today's age, with AI becoming so important, or rather so spoken about, you get all the AI CEOs, some Altman particularly, but others as well. Everyone is claiming that AI is going to replace software engineers and that AI agents are going to do all the jobs, so on and so forth. And I feel like this is misleading people. And if I put myself in the shoes of a SaaS founder or a software founder that's non-technical, you kind of get this fear of, well, if AI is going to be so good, I don't really want to pay for software, either pay for a tech studio to build it or pay for a freelancer or even pay the price to learn software because AI is going to commoditize this. And here's the thing. I think we are now seeing a problem that we had before, but now it has a different shape. Let me explain. In the past, before we had AI building code, so more than 3 years ago, what non-technical founders used to do, at least the ones with very low budgets, is they would go to platforms like Upwork or Fiverr, and they would get the absolute cheapest freelancer to build something for them. And they would try to get a bargain, and that's how they would build their MVP, and they would put it out there. Now, what I'm seeing right now is that cheap freelancer, that cheap dev studio has been replaced by Cursor or these AI coding platforms. And what I mean by that is you still get your MVP that looks okay. It's not great. And you can see a lot of things failing, and you continue to chat with your AI agent, like, hey, solve this. And it's kind of playing like a game of whack-a-mole, the one that you have a hammer and then you hammer down the issues. So when you use AI, I feel like you're having that same problem, which is you try to solve an issue, but then there's no cohesiveness to the whole thing. Everything doesn't look quite right, etc. And here's the key. The problem is writing code was never the issue in the first place. The reality is for every web-based project, every SaaS, etc., the actual learning of the code and the technologies, anybody can learn it in about 6 months. If you're slow or if you want to take it a little bit further, 1 year. Like in 1 year, you know the coding languages, you know the frameworks, you can build stuff. And you know what we used to call those people? Junior engineers. And the thing is, that was never the skill that allowed you to build things. It's like, to give you an analogy, it's like saying that, imagine you're hiring a salesperson in a different country and you don't speak the language. It's like saying, oh, I'll find a person that can speak that language. Now, of course, you need that, but that's not really what gives it the advantage. The language is just the tool or the interface that salesperson uses to do what they do. So in the same way, a software engineer or a tech partner, what they bring to the table is not the ability to code. Their ability to code is the tool that they use to express their actual skill set. So what's the actual skill that a tech partner, and that can be from an individual freelancer to a whole software studio or even your in-house engineers. Like when you have an experienced tech partner with you, what it gives you is it gives you some pushback on some of the ideas. It allows you to define what the best path looks like. It can identify the trade-offs. It understands the landscape. It understands all the possible tools that you have available, and it will make the decision to pick one over the other depending on the cost of one versus the other, how fast it is, how reliable it is. If you're building an MVP that you'll need to change in the future, if you're building something for the long term, tech debt, etc. All this reasoning, all these judgment calls that he would be making, those can't be done with AI. And if you don't believe me, just go to ChatGPT. I'm sure you can convince him to do anything. I use ChatGPT extensively, and all the AI chatbots like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, etc. And I use them for inspiration, and I use them to get exposed to new points of view. But if you tell him to defend a position, he will defend that position. And so when you're trying to ask him, like, what should I do with my code? It's just going to pick the most common one. Because if you notice, when you ask ChatGPT a question, unless you explicitly tell it, hey, push back, it will just give you the first option. And then you complain saying, hey, that's not the case. Like, oh, you're right, I'm sorry. And then gives you another one. It's like a yes man. And I've been in the software industry for many years. And I can tell you that's exactly what a cheap freelancer or a cheap dev studio look like. You'll tell them, can we do this? Yes, sir. This is wrong. I'm sorry, sir. Let me fix it, sir. Is the exact same thing as you see with the new coding platforms. So I don't mean this to be a negative rant, because of course AI is very valuable and there are actually ways to make it work in your favor. But the point I'm trying to make is AI is not going to replace the higher level talent or the higher level skills. What AI is allowing is replacing indeed the junior roles. So for example, if you're trying to build a software or a platform, you can go to these platforms and get a prototype very, very quickly. Like before you had to pay for that. Now you can prototype it, see how it feels, see if your idea has legs. If you want to put it in front of investors, or if you want to launch like a very, very simple, not even MVP, but proof of concept, you can now do that. You can now do that very quickly. Now, at the higher levels of software, what I find it's very useful is scaffolding things that you know exactly what you want and you can instruct it specifically. You can build that. But the key thing is, I'm saying if you know exactly what you want, and the problem is to know exactly what you want, you need experience. And that experience you can only gain by actually building things yourself. So hopefully this video is helpful. I hope if you're building a product, this gives you the right frame to see what AI can't do. Yeah,